Hi, my name is Patrick Reagan. Welcome to The Security, where we discover security with the focus on how it affects the computer and the services and resources that the computer connects to. In Part 4, we shift gears from physical security to logical security. It covers multi-factor authentication, soft tokens, hard tokens, authentication applications, digital certificates, smart cards, access control list, email filtering, and encryption. For those who are going to take the A+ exam, there are practice questions at the end of the video. If you have not already, subscribe to the Pat Has Your Back channel. Along with physical security, you also need logical security. Logical security consists of software safeguards for an organization's systems, including user identification and authentication, security tokens, access rights, permissions, and authorization. The most common and well-known type of logical security is password authentication, where you provide a username and password. While username and passwords are simple, there is no guarantee that the user that is presented by the username is the actual person who is entering the username and password. This is where multi-factor authentication comes in. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is a multi-step account login process that uses multiple methods to prove a user's identity. While username and password is the most common form of authentication, it does not guarantee that the person entering the username in person is the person represented by the username. To ensure that someone did not acquire someone else's username and password, you can use MFA for further validation of a person's entity. There are 3 authentication factors that can be used. Something you know, such as a password, personal identification number or PIN, or security questions knowledge base answers, or KBAs. Something you have, such as a badge or smart card with a chip and/or digital certificate, or a phone that receives a code via text message or using an authentication application. Something you are, such as fingerprints, facial recognition, voice, retina, or iris scanner, or other biometric features in behavioral analysis. To be true MFA, you must use 2 or more different factors. If using passwords and a PIN does not count since it's both of something you know, you have to use something like a password and retina scan or a PIN with electronic card. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, is just a subset of MFA which only uses 2 factors to authenticate. The disadvantage of multi-factor authentication is it can be more expensive, as you may need to purchase a hardware token or some biometric device or reader, which is specialized scanning equipment. Many services, including banking services and many public utilities, will use multi-factor authentication. These services will send a code to one of the following that you have to input into a website: your primary email, your cell phone via SMS or text messages, or a voice call. The code is being sent to your phone, which is something that you have authentication. If you receive a code and you do not initiate an action to receive a code, you should perform the following. Do not accept MFA requests. Do not give or share the code to anyone who might call after you receive the code. Check recent activity and contact support if you see suspicious activities. Consider changing your password. Consider using an authenticator app instead of an SMS-based code. It should be noted that there are security issues using SMS for authentication. Phone numbers can be reassigned to a different phone. SMS messages can be intercepted, and SMS can be spoofed. A hard token is an electronic device that generates one-time passwords for logging into your computer system. When using the application, you would enter the one-time password when prompted. The number is constantly changing. A hard token provides an extra layer of security based on what you have authentication. An authenticator app is a supplementary mechanism that adds an extra layer of security to your online accounts based on something you have authentication. The authenticator app generates a software token, which is a 6 to 8 digit security key within a specific time window, usually around 30 seconds, that can be used as additional authentication. The number is constantly changing. If someone gains access to your login credentials, they won't be able to log in without the time-sensitive security key generated by the app. Examples of popular free authenticator apps include Microsoft Authenticator and Google Authenticator, which are typically installed on your smartphone or mobile device. By having the application on your phone, you don't have a separate device to lose. The digital certificate is an electronic document that contains an entity, such as a user or organization, and a corresponding public key. Because a digital certificate is used to prove a person's entity, it can be used for what you have authentication. Think of a digital certificate as a driver's license or passport that contains a user's photograph and thumbprint so that there's no doubt about the user's entity. It can also be used to identify a device. A smart card is a pocket-sized card with embedded integrated circuits consisting of a non-volatile memory storage components and perhaps dedicated security logic. Smart cards can contain digital certificates to prove the entity of someone carrying the card and may also contain permissions and access information. Because a smart card can be stolen, some smart cards will not have the markings on them so that they cannot be easily identified as to what they can open. In addition, many organizations will use a password or PIN in combination with the smart card. Another example of logical security is Access Control List, or ACL. After you're authenticated, you're ready to access resources, your identity will need to be checked against an ACL to see if you're allowed access to the object and what kind of access you have. Basically, an ACL is a list of who has access and the type of access he or she have. Access control lists can also be used to allow or deny traffic, such as those found on firewalls, routers, and switches. ACLs can also be used with network address translation and quality of service. Today, partly because of the low cost of sending email, users can receive thousands of unsolicited or spam emails per day. Most organizations will use email filtering or spam filters, which is designed to stop most spam before reaching the user. Email filtering can be on-site or cloud-based. It can also be used to scan and block malicious software, stop phishing attempts, and remove unwanted content. Active Directory is a technology created by Microsoft that provides a variety of network services, including the following: Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, or LDAP, for querying and modifying data using directory services running over TCP/IP. LDAP uses TCP port 389. Kerberos-based authentication is the default computer network authentication protocol, which allows hosts to prove their entity over a non-secure network in a secure manner. Active Directory also provides single sign-on authentication. Directory Services allows you to organize and name all of the network resources, including users, groups, printers, computers, and other objects, and to manage passwords, and is a major component when discussing authorization. Directory Services is based on DNS-based naming. Active Directory provides a central location for network administration and delegation of authority. For more information on Active Directory, visit the following videos: Windows Services Part 1, Introduction to Active Directory; Windows Tools Part 12, Understanding Windows Group Policies and Local Policies; and Windows Services Part 5, Managing Windows Public Folders, Libraries, and Folder Redirection. Encryption is the process of converting data into a format that cannot be read by another user. Decryption is the process of converting data from encrypted format back to its original format. Encryption is to limit who has access to data and is an essential part of security. For example, it is used to encrypt passwords when you log in, to encrypt your disk and files that you want to keep secret, and to encrypt your credit card information when surfing the internet. With commonly used encryption methods, the encryption algorithms needs to provide a high level of security while being available to the public. Since the algorithm is made available to the public, the security resides in the key and not in the algorithm itself. One of the simplest cipher algorithms is the substitution cipher, which changes one character or symbol into another. For example, if you have clear text and you substitute each E with a Y and each C with the letter J and the letter T with G, you would get the following: JLYARGYXG. Another simple technique is based on the transposition cipher, which involves transposing or scrambling the letters in a certain manner. For example, if you have clear text and you switch each two letters, including any spaces, you get LCAE space RETTX. A key, which can be thought of as a password, is applied mathematically to plain text to provide cipher or encrypted text. A different key produces a different encrypted output. With computers, encryption is often based on bits, not characters. Similar to a password, the longer the key, usually expressed in bits, the more secure it is. For example, if you use the Unicode letter CL, it will be expressed in the following binary format as shown on the screen. And if you mathematically add the binary form of Z, which is the key, you would get what's also shown on the screen, which will show as a strange Unicode character. Based on the type of encryption, you can use the same key to decrypt the data or use a second key to decrypt the data. Mobile Device Management, or MDM, is a logical security mechanism used to manage corporate-owned devices. MDM products are deployed to enforce policies on corporate-owned mobile devices and bring your own device settings that connect to a corporate environment. Secure corporate and personal data on devices. Examples include MDM, which can ensure device encryption, a strong PIN code, and that the device screen locks after a certain idle period. You can prevent a device that is rooted or jailbreaked from connecting or blocked third-party application installations. IT organizations can use an MDM tool to remotely wipe a mobile device if it is lost or stolen. It provides inventory of installed applications or other items, and some offer GPS tracking. Popular MDM solutions include Microsoft Intune, IBM MAS 360, JMF Mobile Device Management, Apple Configurator, and Google MDM. Question: how can you implement multi-factor authentication for your employees at a minimal cost? Answer: Soft Token. Question: which of the following is an example of MFA? Answer: Smart Card and Password. Remember, for true MFA, you have to have different forms of authentication. Question: which of the following can use SMS as a secondary method to access a system? Answer: MFA. Question: what is the usage permission used in NTFS security? Answer: ACL. For more information, visit these sites. In summary, logical security consists of software safeguards for an organization's systems, including user identification and authentication, security tokens, access rights, permissions, and authorization. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is a multi-step account login process that uses multiple methods to prove a user's entity. There are 3 authentication factors that can be used: something you know, something you have, and something you are. To be true MFA, you must use 2 or more different factors. Many services, including banking services and many public utilities, will use multi-factor authentication. Most of these services will send a code to one of the following that you'll have to input into a website via your primary email, your cell phone via SMS text messages, or a voice call. A hard token is an electronic device that generates a one-time password for logging into a computer system. An authenticator app is a supplementary mechanism that generates a software token that adds an extra layer of security to your online accounts based on something you have authentication. After you're authenticated and you're ready to access resources, your identity will need to be checked against an ACL to see if you're allowed access to the object and what kind of access you have. Encryption is the process of converting data into a format that cannot be read by another user, and decryption is the process of converting data from encrypted format back to its original format. Mobile Device Management, or MDM, is a logical security mechanism used to manage corporate-owned devices. Thank you for watching this video. The next video will be Security, Part 5, Wireless Security and Authentication Methods. If you have not already, don't forget to subscribe to the Pat Has Your Back channel. Thank you.